informed that this meeting is being streamed live. To honor the traditions of anonymity, the camera will be only focused on the podium. If you choose to share, you may stand at the podium on camera or off camera to the side if you prefer to remain off camera. Please remember to use only first names when introducing yourself. By participating in this meeting, you acknowledge that while you do our best to protect anonymity, we cannot control who may be watching the live stream. If you are not comfortable with this, we completely understand, and we encourage you to share in a way that feels safe to you. Thank you for your understanding and for respecting the traditions that keep our fellowship strong. Welcome to the Hop House Community AA meeting, and let's start with a moment of silence followed by the surrender prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Are there any newcomers? Can you please stand up, tell us your name?
Michael, fanatic.
How you doing, Michael? Welcome. Can you please stand up, tell your name?
Gerard.
Hey, Gerard. Welcome home, Gerard. Any announcements?
Sober.
Is anyone opposed to vaping?
We got one more back here.
A new guy?
Yeah.
Can you please stand up? Say your name, please.
My name's Dawson.
Dawson?
Yeah.
How you doing, Dawson?
Right there, Dawson.
Okay. Who you see here and what you hear here, let it stay here.
Here.
Please keep profanity to a minimum for our spiritual principles. The donation basket will be going to be passed around to keep up with our 7 traditions. Contributions will cover rent, utilities, and coffee. This is a AA preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of men and women who share their experiences, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problems and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirements for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We are self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not allied with any sect, denomination, politics, organizations, or institutions. Does not wish to engage in any controversy. Neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and to help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. Now, I have asked a fellow man to read how it works.
My name is Chris.
Hey, Chris.
How it works. Rarely have we seen a person fail who has thoroughly followed our path. Those who do not recover are people who cannot or will not completely give themselves to this simple program. Usually men and women who are constitutionally incapable of being honest with themselves. There are such unfortunate. They are not at fault. They seem to have been born that way. They are naturally incapable of grasping and developing a manner of living which demands rigorous honesty. The chances are less than average. There are those too who suffer from grave emotional and mental disorders, but many of them do recover if they have the capacity to be honest. Our stories disclose in a general way what we used to be like, what happened, and what we are like now. If you have decided you want what we have and are willing to go to any length to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. At some of these we thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. With all these earnestness at our command, we beg of you to be fearless and thorough from the very start. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the results was nil until we let go absolutely. Remember that we deal with alcohol, cunning, baffling, powerful. Without help without help, it is too much for us. But there is one who has all power, and that one is God. May you find him now. Half measures availed us nothing. We stood at the turning point. We asked his protection and care with complete abandon. Here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program recovery. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives have become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand him. 4. Made a searching and flawless moral inventory. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7. Humbly ask him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons we have harmed and been willing to make amends to them all. 9. Made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so will injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and remove wrongs promptly and immediately. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for knowledge of his will for us and are tired to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to alcoholics that practice these principles in all our affairs. Many of us exclaim, "What an order! I can't go through with it." Don't be discouraged. No one among
Hands
us,
up.
Hey, hands up.
no one among us has been able to maintain anything like perfect adherence to these principles. We are not saints. The point is that we are willing to grow along spiritual lines. The principles we have set down are guides to progress. We claim spiritual progress rather than spiritual perfection. Our description of the alcoholic, the chapter to the agnostic, and our personal pictures before and after make clear 3 continuing ideas. A, that we were alcoholic and could not manage our lives. B, that probably no human power could have relieved our alcoholism. And C, that God is able
if you were soft. Thank you. I've asked someone to read the 12 traditions. Everybody?
Traditions, I call it, number 1. Come to work first, come first. First we cover preparing on AA group. Number 2, find group purpose. There is but one ultimate authority. A loving God is he who express himself in our group functions. Our leader are but trust and servant. They do not govern. 3, the only requirement for AA membership is designed to stop drinking. 4, each group should be anonymous, except in the matter of respect of the group or AA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose to carry a message to take the alcoholic who still suffer. 6, an AA group ought never endorse, finance, or lead the AA aim to any related facilities outside enterprise. Less problem of money, property, and prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every AA group ought to be fully self-supporting, applying outside contribution. 8, Alcoholics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service may employ specialist workers. 9, AA as such ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsibility to those they serve. 10, Alcoholics Anonymous have no opinion and outside issue, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public conversation. Controversy on that. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal animosity
Anonymity.
and anonymity at the level of press, radio, and interference. 12, immediately is a special foundation of our tradition, every reminding us to place principles before personalities.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank you, Wally. Well, fellas, tonight is speaker night, and we have a guy that's been here for 2 years, and he's gonna be the speaker, and my sponsor, Jeffrey Miles, is gonna introduce him.
How y'all doing tonight, fellas? My name's Jeffrey, and I am an addict alcoholic.
Hey, Jeff.
I got a clean date of 12/29 of 22. Man, it's this man right here, man. I consider him one of my best friends and my brother in Christ, man. You know, I seen him when he first walked through these doors 2 years ago, man. He had long hair. I'm like, man, who is this dude? But man, I'm so proud of him, man, because the man is so intelligent. He do so much for this community, man. It's not unnoticed, man. You know, and I'm so proud of him today, man. And I'm so proud to call him my brother. Round the block, come on, I ain't gonna glorify you too much. Come on. I ain't gonna glorify you too much. He's my pastor too. Oh, and he got a story for y'all.
No. It's show and tell.
So and tell.
My story, when we speak, we start out by telling what it was like. Then we tell what happened and what it's like now. Many of y'all can see what it's like now for me and everything, but the important part is I want to explain in depth of what it was like for me when it all started. And it started in 1975. I was born in an island in the South Pacific in the throes of a typhoon, no less. And that was the beginning of my dysfunction. But it gets worse from there. It was 1975, and 3 years later, we come back from Guam, and my dad gets discharged from the Air Force. And he leaves my family, abandons my mom, abandons my brother, abandons me and stuff. And it affected our family immensely. My mom, who was a codependent person, I mean, she felt her definition of her own self-worth was having another person or another man in her life. And it didn't matter the condition of the man. And the man that she shacked up with at that time, his name actually was David Devilhead Dinwiddie. He was a self-proclaimed tattoo artist / biker / this and everything. But I don't know how you can claim to be a biker if you don't have a bike and everything. But the man was an alcoholic and drug addict. Many of the scars on my arms and stuff are from cigarette burns. I've got a tattoo on my right wrist that I've had since the age of 3. And he's left many physical scars, emotional scars on my life, and he left his mark on me. But I don't like to dwell on that fact because I'm not a product of my environment. In my addiction, I would say, yes, I was. But I'm sharing this to show you that where I came from, what my life was like. And many of the guys who are here, a good portion of y'all haven't heard my story because I don't like to talk about it too much. So after David and his trauma-inducing stuff that he did to me, and I mean, it's evident, my life did not get any better. My mom was a single mom. Poor lady was 4'11", weighed 300 pounds. And here she was raising 2 Irish boys that were just straight up hellions. And then on top of that, she was raising a man child who thought he was something special, but instead he was an alcoholic drug addict. And I say that because I despise this man, and I'll tell you, I'll make it evident about how much I despised him when I get further progressed into my story. And so we struggled. We were poor, very, very poor. I can remember times of not eating for periods of days. I remember times in my life and everything where we lived in a house with no electricity. We were blessed at points to have running water. We were blessed at sometimes. My blessings came from the hand-me-downs from my brother. And then my brother was blessed through the Salvation Army or other church organizations and stuff. And I'm just letting y'all know. And I'm not doing this to elicit sympathy in any way, shape, or form, because that's not my story. That's not what defines me. So we progress and we get on, and I ended up going in and out of juvenile detention multiple times, truancy, vandalism, breaking and entering, and all that stuff, all the way up until the age of 13, when my mom had a mental breakdown and she couldn't do it anymore. And so, or not the age of 13, that was when it finally stopped. But age of 9, my third grade year, my mom starts packing up my stuff. And then she hands me an envelope. And she goes, "We're going to go take you to the Greyhound bus station." And I'm between 8 and 9 at this point, and I didn't know what was going on. And she says, "What we're going to do, honey," as she's bought my bus ticket, gets me up to the doorway of the bus, and she says, "That letter you have right there, what you're going to do is when you get to the end or your final stop," she said, "if your father is not there to pick you up, you're to give this to the bus driver, and inside of it's enough money to get you another bus ticket back down here, and then you'll either stay with our grandparents." Me and my brother were separated at that time, and I was always real close with my brother. And so I get on the bus. Thankfully, my dad did manage to do the right thing. He was there to pick me up from the bus station and stuff. But 3 months later, he ends up doing the same thing to my mom. He puts me on a bus with another letter. And here I am. I just turned 9, halfway to 10 now at this point, and I'm coming back to Texas because I was shipped to Springfield, Missouri. 8, 9 years old, and I'm riding a Greyhound bus by myself back and forth. And I do this for a period of almost 3 years until my 3rd grade, or my 6th grade, sorry. 6th grade. And then finally, I get back to Texas. Me and my brother, my mom was still shacked up with David, still causing problems in the family. Still, my 6th grade year here in Abilene, Texas, I can remember that year attending every middle school that's in Abilene, Texas, in a year period. And there's like 10 of them. That's how often we had to move. We'd scrape together money to get the deposit, and then couldn't pay the month rent or whatever, and then we'd be evicted again. And here we were packing up and moving. And we didn't have much because we couldn't afford much. So by then, I'm already trying to fit in. I start picking up and putting in, using, smoking, whatever it could to numb my feelings of the way I was living at that time. Because of the level of dysfunction, I didn't know any better. I thought this was how life was supposed to be. I thought this is what normal people do. And it almost, to a point, not made it a fantasy, but it seemed glorified to me in the behaviors and the people that I was forced to hang around. Because my mom, she wasn't around. She was working 2 jobs trying to support an alcoholic addict and 2 boys. And I'm not blaming my mom because she did the best she could. And this goes on. And I was 14. My brother was 15. David got drunk one time. And then me and my brother proceeded to jump on him and beat the crap out of him. And we finally got him out of our lives. But did that stop my dysfunction? No. I just got bolder in my behaviors and in my attitudes. I started getting worse. That's when I got my first felony. Luckily, I was placed on deferred adjudication for burglary of 3 habitations and 1 business. And I spent the next 3 years on probation, but it didn't stop my criminal activities. I would later get multiple public intoxications, possession charges, but I finally figured it out that, you know what, if I keep going this route, this record's going to be permanently. So there in the last bit and everything, and thankfully I had not a sucker for a probation officer, but I had a pretty good guy who was looking out for me. He saw the environment that I was growing up in, and he didn't want me to start out my adulthood in the same manner. And so he looked out for me. He turned his cheeks, turned his eyes away from some of the stuff I was doing. And so I managed to get through that deferred adjudication. I got the charges. Everything was expunged from my record after I completed that. It still shows what I was arrested for, but it shows that I was cleared of it. But that didn't stop my charges or anything like that. Well, here I am at the age of 17. I get a letter from my dad's mother. And this time I'm full-blown going. Smoking meth, shooting up, doing all that stuff. Not going to school, not paying attention, not doing anything that I was supposed to do. The complete opposite of doing the next right thing. I was anywhere and everywhere that I wasn't supposed to be. And that letter consisted of saying that my dad was in the hospital dying from his diabetes, complication, developed cancer and stuff, and he was in there. So she gave me a phone number where I could reach her, and she was hoping that I'd make arrangements to come up and see her. My response, because I was so into self and didn't care about anyone else, and I held such a resentment to this man, that my response to her was, who the F cares? He didn't care about me when I was a child. Why should I care about him now? I hope the man dies a horrible death. And that, from that point on, it stuck with me, because as my sponsor taught me later on, several years later, he goes, you know, them words, you were saying them to hurt other people, but in reality, what happened was you hurt yourself. You carried that with you for all your life. And yeah, subconsciously you felt guilty for the things you said, because that man gave you a gift that no other person could give you. And that's life. Yes, it wasn't a good life, but he's given you life. But I'm jumping ahead right now, but yes, 17, I tell him to go F himself, and I don't give a crap or anything like that. And so that started affecting me, even though I didn't know it at the time, because I was still so ignorant and so in-depth in my alcohol and drug use. 7 years later, I'm turning 24, and I'm still in the throes of my addiction. I mean, just raring and going. I'm barely scraping by. I fancy myself, oh, I'm a functioning addict. I can keep a job 3 to 4 months. Yeah, I got this under control. And then one day my mom's complaining that her back was hurting. And she goes and sees the doctor, and the doctor says, well, Susie, it's your gallbladder. That was my mom's name. He said, it's your gallbladder. We'll schedule you for a surgery, and this is sometime down the road. Well, this persisted for about a month, and they said, you're doing fine. You're going to be okay. And it's going to be solved. Just give it time. Be patient. Wait. One day I come home from my job, as I like to call it, but my job was actually twisting the pipe at that time. I come back to the house, and she's in the living room on the floor crying because she can't move. And I say, you know what, Mom? I said, let me get you to the emergency room. And I was able, because I was terrified of, they're going to know I'm geeked out. But because for my mom's sake, and I love this woman to death, took her to the emergency room. We sit there, and we're there for 4 hours. And the doctor comes in with another gentleman with him, and he has a bunch of papers in his hands. And he says, Susie, what I'm about to do for you, he said, I'm not doing this to scare you. I'm not doing this to harm you, Mr. Barker, or anything like that. He said, what I'm doing is to ensure that you get the most help that you can receive with what time you have left. He said, this man with me, he said, he's the head of our oncology department. And at that age, I was 24 at this time. 23, fixing to turn 24. He said, I was like, what's oncology? He said, he's our cancer specialist. I was like, holy crap. So what do you mean with what time she has left? He goes, what I have in my hand, he goes, it's her death certificate, and I'm pre-signing it for 6 months from now. I'm like, what do you mean? He goes, she doesn't have a gallbladder issue. What it is she's got cancer, and it's in her kidneys, and it metastasized, and it's spread to multiple lymph nodes throughout her body, and it's currently in her spine. Well, so what can we do to remedy this? And I'm breaking down. I mean, I'm bawling because this was the one rock in my life that I had other than my brother. I didn't have any relatives or anything else like that. My grandparents had already passed on well when I was young. Don't have any aunts, uncles, or anything else like that. And bear in mind, this whole time, even hearing this, my first thought is, God, it wasn't for how can I comfort my mom or anything, but how can I comfort myself? And I'm still thinking, sure would be nice to have a bottle of Jack Daniels right now and an 8-ball. So, long story short and everything, 5 months, 3 weeks to the day, we buried my mother. And from that day that she was presented with her death certificate, my life spiraled completely out of control. There was no control, no reservations or anything. I was balls through the walls, drinking and using as much as I could. She passed away in 1999, and for the next 10 years, I spent running and gunning, living on the streets, sponging off my friends, sleeping on the couches, living in the woods in the tent, anything and everything just so I could stay high, so I didn't have to face the world. But I still stayed in communication with my brother, who was doing good and everything, even though he was in his own addiction. By far, nowhere near as bad as I was. I finally come to my senses when all else, everything seemed to fail. My life was completely unmanageable. I was powerless over everything. I couldn't do anything. I couldn't change any of my circumstances, the way I was living, because I would think I would want to get it right, and I'd go right back to that which I didn't want to do. Pick up and put in me, because it would just haunt me. And I'm not saying that because the things that happened to me did not have to define who I was. Millions of people go through that same situation, same problems, and yet they find a way to get out of it. But they had something that I lacked. And that was a spiritual moral fiber, and it was evident in the lifestyle that I was living. Until one day in 2010, after living in a tent, I needed a shower. I needed to wash my clothes. And a friend of mine says, you know where you can do that? At the Salvation Army. Well, while doing that, they say, hey, you know, we have a drug and alcohol rehabilitation program, and we think you'd be a good fit for it. I did it, completed their 6-month program, and it changed my life. I had a semi-spiritual awakening. I had the spiritual awakening, but I wasn't quite completely ready to surrender to it yet, or at least I thought I was at that time. I stayed on. I became leader of their drug and rehabilitation program. I helped change it and establish it as something completely different, so much so that the current officers of the posting in Abilene, Texas, said, man, we think you'd be a great Salvation Army officer. But that was the addict and alcoholic in me. I was always able to manipulate and get the things that I want because I was smart enough that I could tell and read people and tell them what they wanted to hear in order to get what I wanted out of it in the end. So I enlisted. I became a Salvation Army officer. I went to Atlanta, Georgia, did another 2 years at the Salvation Army. got ordained through them, became an officer, got commissioned, became a lieutenant, and then I was posted back here at Abilene. And I say back here, but that's just where I'm used to is Abilene. Got posted there. And for 5 years after that, I did really well. I was doing the things. I was going to my programs. I was participating in meetings. I was sponsoring. I was leading meetings. I was helping other alcoholics and addicts. But I was still partially plugged into God, but most importantly, I was plugged into myself still. And the first time a woman, hey, you look kind of cute. That's all it took. Plug come out of God, and instead it just came fully plugged into me. I resigned my commission because at first I thought I could talk her into joining the Salvation Army, because as part of an officer in the Salvation Army, your spouse has to get commissioned and join the Salvation Army. She wasn't about that. So what do? Turn to self again. I resigned my commission. I stepped away. I stopped going to meetings. I stopped doing all the things that helped me up to that point be sober for 5 years. To be sober. And I say that because I want to make sure that y'all understand the distinction between sober and clean. Sober is just temporarily putting a plug in the jug. Being clean is being happy about that fact that you did put the plug in the jug. And then I started drinking again. I was like, you know what? I can just simply drink. And I did that okay for a while, for a couple of years. And the woman that I met, thank God, she gave me 2 beautiful kids, which I love very much. And we were together for 8 years. I'd picked up smoking pot again just because you know how it goes and everything. You know what would make this beer even better? Smoking a joint. And that's because I was plugged into myself. I was doing things my way, how I thought they should be done, instead of trusting and relying on a power greater than myself to lead and direct my path. So here I am, smoking, drinking. Not too bad. I'm kind of somewhat managing my life. How many of y'all know what this is? What is it? In 2021, my brother called me up, and it was May 8th. He calls me up and he says, hey, man, he said, it's springtime. Fish are fixing to start biting. Why don't you come over and help me get my boat ready and everything? He said, we'll get drunk and we'll smoke a little bit, and then, we'll work on the boat and stuff. So I go over there. We're doing all that, and my brother, he was a pretty bad diabetic at that time. He was taking insulin 3 times a day. It was pretty bad. It was affecting him. And then during that time, and my brother, most of y'all know me and everything. I don't like to ask for help or anything. If I'm doing something, I'll do it on my own. I just don't ask other people to help me. I don't like to put people out of the way. And my brother was just the same exact way. But that day, something occurred that I hadn't seen him do in a long, long time. We're sitting there as we're getting the boat ready and stuff, get the motor put on it and drop it in a 55-gallon drum with water. And he's sitting there sweating profusely. And he says, you know what? He says, man, I'm feeling a little bit off. I think my sugar's a little off and everything. He said, I'm going to go inside, cool off and everything. He said, let's go do that and everything. So I go inside, and he sits down on the couch, and he just kind of slumps back a little bit. And he's like, hey, would you do me a favor? And I'm like, I got you, man. But the whole time I'm thinking, hey, just hurry and roll that joint. Where's the bottle at? And he says, hey, would you do me a favor? Would you make me a glass of tea? And that was truly unusual for my brother, because he's just like me. If I can do it, I'm not going to ask someone else to do it. That was one of the first red flags that I ignored in what was about to occur that day. So I get him his glass of tea, and he sits down on the couch, and he's still slumped back. He says, man, I'm just not feeling good. Hey, would you get that fan for me and put it on me? Because I'm feeling really hot. Okay, yeah, I got that. How soon can we smoke? Oh man, we'll get to that and everything. I just need you to do me a favor. Okay, what do you need, man? I'm ready. Let's do it and everything. Let's hurry and get to the smoke part. He says, what I need you to do, he said, I need you to go out there, and when you put my motor up and lock my boat back up and put the tarp over it and everything, and once you get all that done, lock my shed. And he said, and I'll be in here rolling my joint. I just want to check my sugar real quick and see if I need to take some insulin. I'm like, sure, you bet, buddy. But back in my mind, I see something's wrong because by this time he's already super pale. But all I'm thinking about is my own selfish desires. All I care about is how soon can I get high? How soon can I either pop a top or pour me a drink? So I'm ignoring these red flags after red flags, the unusual behavior in my brother. I go outside and I'm lickety split. I'm putting everything up, doing it as quick as I could because all I'm obsessing about is how soon can I get high? How soon can I drink? Little did I know that when I'd walk through that door and I'd look over at the couch at him, my brother would be slumped over with his tongue sticking out. Me and my brother were really, really close. There was two things we enjoyed doing, and that was fighting. And when we weren't fighting everyone else, we were fighting each other. I mean, we were each other's constant in this world in everything we did. Because that's the only people we had to rely on. Just my mom relied on David, but she looked after us. Me and my brother relied on each other and looked out for each other. And when I saw him slumped over, first thought to my mind was, shit, I guess I ain't getting high now. Man, are you playing a trick on me? What's wrong with you? And I even jokingly kicked him to see if he was messing with me because we do stuff like that. He didn't respond. Oh, crap, dude. What's going on, man? Are you okay? I go over and I slap him and everything. Still nothing. I finally called 911. They said, is your brother responsive? Is he breathing? I finally leaned down. I checked him. I said, no, I'm not getting any chest movement or anything. Can you feel anything coming out of his nose? No. I said, his tongue is sticking out of his mouth and everything. They said, okay, look and see if you can feel a pulse. Couldn't find one. Little did I know my whole world was crashing down up around it. What little world I had left, even though I had a wife and 2 kids, was fixing to evaporate before my eyes. And I had 2 choices. One, I could either sit there and accept the fact that I'm not going to get high and get my brother to the emergency room, which is what I should have done, or ignore the warnings and just sit there and be more concerned about getting high. And I went with the latter. And yeah, 30 minutes later, they pronounced my brother dead. I killed my brother. I didn't actually do it and everything, but by my own inactions, my own thought process, I let my brother die. My last living relative. My world was devastated because that was anything and everything I had. The one constant, the one person I knew that when I said, I love you, man, he'd say, I love you too, baby brother. And I knew from the very get-go that no matter what I did or the type of person I was, I knew he meant it. After he died, I spent almost a month in bed drinking and using. I played up on people's sympathies. Oh, I lost my brother and everything, so I had people bringing me stuff. And I stayed trapped in my room for a month and a half. Until one day I just couldn't bear it anymore because the pain was so... Every time I closed my eyes, I would see him slumped over on the couch with his tongue sticking I was haunted by the fact that I could have done something and I didn't. And I just got worse and worse. Again, the powerlessness and the unmanageability proceeded to take over my life again. Complete, utter chaos. Month and a half was the limit, and I attempted my first time suicide. Swallowed a bunch of my pills, and my wife came in there and found me, got me to the emergency room. They got me better and stuff, and then I went to Oceans Behavioral. Was in there for 2 months trying to get straight until finally I got tired of being in there, and I was able to tell the doctors what they wanted to hear. And as soon as they discharged me, what did I do? I called my guy up and was like, hey, bring me something. I can't handle this. I'm too straight. Hey, I have this right here because this is the number of medications that they had me taking just to combat all the dysfunctionality in my life at that time. Six more suicide attempts in the span of 4 years. One, I stabbed myself, went to the hospital. Another time, I drank a fifth of Jack Daniels and swallowed my pills again. Those 2 times, I actually died. First one was from lack of blood loss. The third one was because my whole system had shut down from the alcohol and the amount of Seroquel I took. Just shut completely down. I get out, and after the 6th time, which was, that one was very minor and everything, it was still a suicide attempt, but it was more of a cry for help. I got sent to Rivercrest Mental Hospital, and I was there for a month. See, and it was May 8th, because at that point, and it was 2024, that I decided I didn't want to go another year without my brother. Even though I had a wife and 2 kids, I'd ignored all that fact. I was so selfish that I was ready to abandon them just like my father had abandoned me. I ignored my wife, and she worked so hard for 4 years to carry me. And while I was in Rivercrest, I'm telling my story to my psychiatrist and stuff. And she says, you know, you keep mentioning David, how he was so bad for your family and how much you hate him. She goes, it's funny that you say that, but everything you told me, you sound just like him. You hated him so much that you became just like him. And that hit me. Hit me like a ton of bricks. And a switch started flipping. I wasn't completely unplugged yet, and I didn't understand what I'd done, but there was a slow revelation coming. A couple of days later, I received a packet from the nurse's station, and in that packet was my divorce papers. Also, a court order saying that I would never be allowed around my kids because of the things I'd done. I was considered by a judge that my wife had went and sought through her lawyer that I was considered a danger to them, a danger to myself, and a danger to my wife. So here I am figuring out that my psychiatrist, I've been telling him enough stuff to buffalo him into releasing me. But at that point, I had my release date kind of figured out. And my plan was, I'm going to get to go back home. I'm going to get to just pick up where I left off and everything. But the divorce papers said otherwise. It said, no, you don't have a home to go to. In fact, you can't even go back and get your stuff. So I'm sitting here, and all I had was a pair of shorts and a T-shirt, because that's when the cops found me, and that's what they brought me to Rivercrest in. And a pair of slides on my feet. I'm in Rivercrest, and I'm in full-blown panic mode, because now I'm starting to see the truth of the unmanageability and the powerlessness that I'd allowed to run my life. I'd seen what was coming. And so I started looking through the resources and trying to figure out where I'm going to go. And I do what a good portion of people that come in here thinking and everything. Well, I'm going to look up one of these rehab facilities and just tell them I got a problem, so that way I can get 3 hots in a car until I can get a job and figure out what's going on. And so, but I didn't have any options because I didn't have any money. I didn't have any clothes. I'd lost my plumbing license. I'd lost everything. Because in those 4 years, I failed to maintain any semblance of life. I wasn't responsible. I wasn't dependable. I wasn't accountable. In that process, I'm sitting there looking through the resources. I dial a number, and it's the Hopper House. Get on the phone with Chris, and he asked me, he goes, yeah, what do you want? Man, I kind of need a place to stay. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you have a drug and alcohol problem? Yeah, good enough. Are you wanting to do anything and everything or whatever it takes? That's how that conversation kind of went real quick. Yeah. And then I'm sitting there trying to tell him, and he's like, that's awesome. Good enough, man. I'll talk to you later. I'll be there tonight. I'm like, what do you mean? Oh, I'm coming in tonight and everything. I'll be hosting a meeting there. Or you'll see some of my members there. Talk to me when you see me there. I'm like, okay. So he comes walking in about the time that they're supposed to have that meeting there and everything. And I see a guy walk in with half his face tattooed. See Ryan Barnes walk in with his goatee down to here and stuff and everything. And I see Jacob Benavides. If y'all don't know who that is, he's another one that looks like somebody you'd be out in the parking lot with, smoking, shooting, doing whatever. And I'm like, oh, this is a motley bunch. And I'm like, which one's Chris Hopper? And at first I thought it was like maybe Ryan Barnes, no offense. I thought maybe it was him. And they was like, no, it's that guy over there with the tattoos on his face. I'm like, oh my God, what am I getting myself into? What have I just signed up for? But they came in and they hosted an AA meeting. I think it was AA that night. I don't remember the specifics of it because I was more focused on the spiritual awakening that was occurring that night. These three men, what they spoke finally made sense. You know how Chris is? Powerless, unmanageability, lack of spiritual principles. You know how it goes. You've heard them time and time again. Jacob and Ryan corroborated what he was saying. And it started clicking. But I'm still thinking, oh, man, I'm going to get there. I'm going to be able to tell these guys like I've done so many other people what they wanted to hear in order to get what I wanted. I get here and I see this place, and it's changed drastically since then. The old Howell building, I'm like, oh, my God, what have I gotten myself into? As soon as I get out of the van, during my time in Rivercrest, I'd been bitten by a spider. My arm had swelled up out to here and got so much infection in it that I ended up having to have surgery to where they go in, clean up the infection, remove all the dead tissue and stuff. Remember, I had that big old bandage and everything. First thing Chris tells me when I get out of the van, and I just had the surgery the day before. Get out of the van. Hey, good enough. And I'm like, I'm here and everything. He's like, okay, good enough. Hey, you want to give us a hand over here? And they were building porches on the ladies' trailer. Yeah. I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess I'll do what I can and everything. But the whole time I'm like, this is whack, dude. This is supposed to be a rehabilitation program, not a work farm. What he was doing was he was gauging my willingness. Well, my willingness at that time was only willing to do whatever it takes in order to ensure that I got my 3 hots in a cop. I started out with that reservation that, oh man, this is ridiculous. But what choice did I have? Little did I know that God was masterfully moving chess pieces on a board, using his mortal instruments to accomplish what he needed. And he slowly started working through this program, through his representatives, Chris, Ryan, various individuals. During that time, it was church, other people. Cricket wasn't here. Most of the people that are here right now weren't here during that time and stuff, but there's a few. And every person was saying the same thing. Trust the process. Let it work. It will work if you work it also. So work it because you're worth it. You live if you do. And the light was slowly coming on. Every day I would get up. Man, I got to get up at 6 a.m. to reveille. Y'all think it's bad in the Howell building. I walk through and I'm like, hey, good morning, guys. It's time to get up. And I'll let y'all do y'all's thing. Back then it was no. Oh, God, please turn that stuff up. And then after that, it was listening to a Navy SEAL talk about the importance of making your bed when you get up. How it's the first task you do in the morning. And if nothing else, you have accomplished one task. And if you don't do anything else that day, at least you got a bed made to come home to. And I kept, even though I didn't want to listen, the stuff started breaking through. Started coming through. Getting up in the morning got easier. Things started getting easier for me. Following the rules started getting easier, even though I didn't agree with some of them. Getting up and doing the work for the ministry got easier. And then plus, on top of it, I actually kind of started looking forward to it. Not all the time, but I started looking forward to it. I started unknowingly, tricked into it, actually working the program, trusting the process. I started being honest, started being open-minded, and started being willing. Then they said, okay, we're going to move you into a trailer. Your invoice is going to start. What? I don't even have a job yet. Oh, but you're going to get one. We got a plumbing job we're going to hook you up with. Are you serious? I got to get all this stuff situated, and I got to get my license back and everything. So I started going to God, because at that time, my relationship with God had improved greatly. I could see the miracles starting to happen in my life. So the first process was, well, please help me get this job. Well, first I had to get an ID. I had to get all this stuff in process. So I was every day, oh, God, please help me with this, help me with that, and everything. And they kept it just miracle after miracle, blessing after blessing falling into my lap. I didn't realize it. And then what was worse, and I say worse, but I say that jokingly because it wasn't worse, was that I didn't have to keep asking. The more I dove into the program, the blessings started coming without being asked for. God knew what I needed, and even some of the things that I wanted, and he was like, I'm making it happen because you're making it happen. Because you're walking the path that I'm now putting at your feet, and you're not deviating. You're not trying to alter it. You're not trying to change it. You're not trying to negotiate. You have surrendered to my will. And so the blessings continue. And I worked that job for 1.5 years until I broke my ankle. But the blessings, I dove in, I became a leader in the community. Then I got placed as leader of the Howell building. Everything was just falling into place without me even trying to force it. I remember when they asked me to be a leader, it was like, no, I don't want to do that. Oh, but you're going to. Okay, I'll do it. Whatever, if everything's worked so far, so I'm willing to do it and everything. So I did it, became a leader. And then they say, well, you manage your trailer pretty good and everything. How would you feel about stepping up and taking over the Howell building? What? I can barely manage myself and 4 other guys. Yeah, but Chris, I've talked to God and I think it'd be a good thing. Ryan backed it up. Church backed it up. Other people, my sponsor backed it up. I wasn't backing it up, but I did it because I was trusting the process. So started doing that. And then when I couldn't work due to my health and everything, my diabetes is starting to take over. I say, you know what? Chris gave me an opportunity. He says, I know your health is kind of bad, and this is when I'm still struggling to heal from what I thought was a sprained ankle, but instead was torn ligaments and stuff in there. Struggling to heal. He said, he approached me. He says, you know what? He said, I want to give you an opportunity. I'm like, okay, what's that? He said, I want you to work for me. You don't have to go to your construction job because you know you can't keep up with it very much longer. And plus, I didn't enjoy plumbing. That was something my brother had gotten me into, trying to help me. The reason why I have these up here and this up here is throw it on the floor for a little comedic relief. But that's what I was taking when I was discharged from Rivercrest. Every day, every night, every noon. This box represented something that after he passed away and I had him cremated, I buried him in a closet just so I didn't have to face that fact anymore, because I knew it hurt so bad what I did. But now, as my life has changed and I've continued working the program and I'm staying plugged into God and plugged into the things that He wants me to do, not what I want to do, I've learned to trust Him. And He has made all things possible that I couldn't conceive were possible. Oh man, I'm taking a pay cut. I'm used to making $24 to $30 an hour, depending upon the job I'm doing. Now I don't want to discuss how much I make, but I'm making a living. I'm surviving and I'm thriving. My life has gotten better. I'm happy. I've since started doing something that I hadn't been able to do since 2021, and that's sleep somewhat peacefully without something being in my system. I can rest my head at night and I can sleep through the night without having nightmares, dreams, stress, worry, anything and everything. I'm no longer restless, irritable, or discontent. Instead of being mean, mad, and miserable, wanting to pick up and put in, but knowing I can't, I now am happy, joyous, and free of the simple fact that I no longer have to pick up and put in. And all that happened because of the spiritual awakening. A complete psychic change, as Dr. Jung says. My old thought processes are no longer what's in it for me, but what can I do? What can I do? I'm no longer looking into other people's cups to see if they have more than me. Instead, I'm looking in their cups to see if they have enough. That's the mindset that has changed. That's what's occurred. And the fruits of it is, you can see it. I'm happy now. I'm not depressed. I can look at this every night before I go to bed and I don't have nightmares because of it. I can look at this every morning, and instead of saying it's not another day without my brother, but it's another day that I can redeem myself. And then one day I'll be up there where he's at, with my mother, with my father, with my grandparents. And instead of standing before God and having a whole book of these horrible, awful things that I did and being judged and condemned for it, instead I can stand before him with Jesus next to me, sitting there saying, you know what? He did some bad things, but look at the person he's become. That's exactly what this program is all about. We don't care where you come from. We don't care what you've done or how much you've done of it. All we care about is where you're at and where you're going. And we want to ensure that that place that you're going is the best possible place. And we want to help and assist in getting you there, sometimes slowly, sometimes quickly. Trust the process. Most importantly, trust God. Because he's always working. While we're playing checkers, he's playing chess, and he's already won the victory. It's up to us to choose to be on the victorious side. And it's all up to you. But it starts up here, just like with relapse. Relapse doesn't occur the moment you pick up and put in. Relapse occurs up here first with your thoughts. And the way you change that is going to your meetings, helping, being of service, and putting him first. And when you start doing that, guess what he does? He puts you first. Anything and everything is possible through him. I would not be where I'm at. If I had my way, I would have already hit rock bottom and had dirt thrown over the top of me. But instead, God said, no, I'm not done with you. Even though you may be done, I'm not. So pick your ass up, keep moving forward, and look at where you're going. Keep your eyes on the prize, gentlemen, because it's an amazing thing. It's a wonderful. I fought so hard to stay in charge, or not in charge, but leading the Howell building, because the miracle that occurs in there is when you see people coming in the same state I was, hopeless, depressed, full of anxiety, restless, irritable, and discontent. And you see them all the time when they come in. But the miracle actually occurs that when you start seeing that light come on in their eyes. You see the revelation that they've seen finally, and the miracles start happening. It happens because I'm living proof. Other people are living proof. Warren, Cricket, Jacob, everybody. I'm brain dead, sorry. But guys, you can do anything. Not on your own power, though. Your power runs out. His doesn't. What it's like now is a true miracle. I get to spend time with my kids. I'm not a threat to them anymore. I have a vehicle. I have a future. I have hope. And I didn't have that in the beginning. Find your hope. Find your miracles. They're waiting right there for you. You just got to open your heart, be honest, be open-minded, and be willing. Can't pray for a hole to get dug while leaning on the shovel. Do your part. But let God show you what that part is. Let him drive, but don't be a backseat driver. Trust him. He knows exactly where you're going to go one way or the other. Just stop taking the detours. Finally say, you know what? I'm going to trust this navigation. I'm not going to make any detours. And I'm going to get exactly where I deserve to be. And you know, there's nothing we can do to deserve it because he's already done it for us. So with that, guys, it's already 5 minutes past. I'm sorry to ramble or anything. I can see Christian over there chomping at the bit to leave. Come on, man, you've gone past your 3 minutes.
It was a good one.
But understand, gentlemen, you don't have to be a victim. You don't have to be a product of your environment. You don't no longer have to make excuses. You don't have to do any of that stuff now. What you can say is, I'm going to be a different person because I am a different person. I'm not the creature that I once was. Instead, I'm an amazing creation created by my Father. Accept it, appreciate it, and dive into it. That's the best word I can say is dive, dig deep. And you'd be amazed at the treasures you'll find. Thank y'all for letting me share.
It's not over yet with fellas. That's it, not white. Thank you, Randall. Well, give Randall a round of applause. Pause again, fellas, please. All right, I've asked somebody to read promises.
Hey, DeAndre.
Although attitude and outlook on life will change. There are people in that moment that they will do this. We will intuitively know that an situation is reasonable. We suddenly realize that God is done for us, we can do it for ourselves. That is extravagant promises.
We think not.
There are things to it wonder, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but always in true life, do what.
Work.
More beautiful.
Now, I asked him when to hand out the sobriety chips.
Comment this quick. My name is Jacob. This is
Jacob.
here today. We like to give out different chips for various things of sobriety. If it's your first meeting here at the Hopper House, we have a 24-hour chip. You want to come and accept it?
Somebody somewhere.
1 month sober.
Somebody somewhere.
1 month, people.
Okay, 2 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, 3 months.
One day at a time. My name's Ronnie. 90 days, going for another month.
Anybody else for 3 months? Okay, 4 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, 5 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, 6 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, 7 months.
Somebody somewhere.
8 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, 9 months could have been a baby. 10 months. 11 months.
Somebody somewhere.
Okay, could be a year or more. I think goes on the board. It's the fourth Friday of every month. If you're sober today, give yourself in your high five.
Now, this meeting was designed to last an hour. It has, a little over. We're going to close in the usual manner. Whose father?
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, and forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Keep coming back.
Please help with the chairs. I will stay behind, clean up.